Hey coin lovers! Welcome to the Worth Old Coins channel, your place to discover the hidden value and rare facts about old coins. In today's video we're revealing the top 4 valuable coins, and one of them might just be in your collection, so don't skip this video. Let's find out their real worth. Top 1. The United States of America 1965 $quarter coin marks one of the most significant turning points in modern American numismatic history, symbolizing the nation's adaptation to economic change, technological progress, and the enduring ideals of liberty and unity. Minted in 1965, this coin represents the first year in which the U.S. $quarter was produced without silver, marking the transition from the traditional 90% silver composition used since 1932 to a new copper-nickel clad composition, a change that reflected the profound economic realities of mid-20th century America. The 1965 quarter retained the beloved Washington quarter design, originally created by sculptor John Flanagan in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The obverse, Washington's left-facing bust dominates the field, his expression noble and resolute, reflecting his enduring status as the father of the nation. Above his head arcs the word liberty, while beneath his chin appears the national motto, "In God We Trust," a statement of moral and cultural identity deeply ingrained in American coinage. The date 1965 appears below the truncation of Washington's neck, marking a year not merely of minting but of transformation in U.S. monetary policy. The reverse design features a bold heraldic eagle wings, spread in majestic symmetry, clutching a bundle of arrows symbolizing strength and preparedness for defense, while an olive branch lies just below, representing peace. Encircling the eagle are the inscriptions United States of America above and E pluribus unum out of many, one just above the eagle's head, while the denomination $quarter stands below. This reverse, also by John Flanagan, conveys the spirit of the United States as a nation founded on unity and vigilance, balancing strength with a commitment to peace. The technical specifications of the 1965 quarter reveal the monumental shift that year. Instead of the 90% silver, 10% copper composition used from 1932 to 1964, the new 1965 issue was composed of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving the coin its familiar, silver-like appearance while eliminating the use of precious metal. This change was driven by a serious silver shortage during the early 1960s. Rising silver prices meant that the intrinsic value of coins was approaching or even exceeding their face value, causing hoarding and melting of silver coins. President Lyndon B. Johnson, recognizing the looming crisis, signed the Coinage Act of 1965, which authorized the removal of silver from circulating dimes and quarters, while reducing the silver content of half dollars from 90% to 40%. As a result, the 1965 quarter became the first large-scale U.S. coin made entirely without silver, a landmark event that permanently altered the nation's monetary system. The Coinage Act of 1965 also temporarily suspended mint marks to discourage speculation and hoarding, meaning that all 1965 quarters were struck without any mint mark. Even though production occurred at multiple facilities, primarily the Philadelphia Mint but also at Denver and San Francisco, the absence of a mint mark makes it impossible to distinguish between them by location, yet all bear identical design and composition. The new clad coinage was engineered for durability resistant to wear and corrosion, making it practical for long-term circulation in an era of expanding consumerism, vending machines, and mass commerce. From a historical perspective, the 1965 Washington quarter thus symbolizes the nation's adaptation to a rapidly modernizing economy during a decade defined by social change, space exploration, and civil rights movements. While silver dimes, quarters, and half dollars disappeared from circulation, the 1965 quarter became a familiar, workhorse coin carried in pockets, exchanged in stores, jingling in payphones and jukeboxes, its metallic ring a new sound for a new generation. For many Americans, it marked the beginning of the clad era, when coins became symbols of modern engineering rather than repositories of precious metal. Despite criticism from traditionalists who lamented the end of silver coinage, the clad quarter proved highly successful in everyday use and remains in circulation to this day, its copper core visible as a thin reddish stripe along the edge, distinguishing it from its silver predecessors. Numismatically, the 1965 quarter holds immense historical value as a first-year issue of a new composition and as a transitional coin between the old silver standard and the new metallic system. Although billions were minted, over 1.8 billion pieces in total, the coin is prized for its symbolic importance rather than its rarity. Collectors often seek high-grade examples that showcase full luster and sharp details of Washington's portrait, especially coins preserved in mint state condition or from original mint sets. A small number of transitional errors are among the most famous rarities in modern U.S. coinage. A few 1965 quarters were accidentally struck on leftover 90% silver planchets intended for 1964 issues, creating a hybrid coin that looks silver rather than clad. These rare transitional errors are among the most valuable modern coins, often fetching thousands of dollars at auction, embodying the tension between old and new that defined the 1965 changeover. Beyond its material and technical aspects, the 1965 Washington quarter also carries deep symbolic significance. George Washington's portrait, first introduced in 1932, had by 1965 become an enduring emblem of American leadership and unity. Retaining his image through such a dramatic monetary transition conveyed stability amidst change, reassuring the public that, though the metal had changed, the values of the nation remained constant. The eagle on the reverse further reinforced this continuity, its outstretched wings embodying freedom and strength, its olive branch and arrows declaring that America sought peace but stood ever ready to defend it. Culturally, the 1965 quarter became an artifact of mid-century America, circulated during the height of the Cold War, during the escalation of the Vietnam War, and through moments of domestic transformation from the civil rights movement to the early years of the space age. Jangled in the pockets of ordinary Americans who watched the first color televisions, drove classic cars, and witnessed a nation on the brink of great change. It was the coin of gas stations, diners, and drive-in theaters, of payphones and pinball machines, an everyday witness to the fabric of 1960s life. Top 2. The United States of America 1967 $quarter coin stands as a powerful emblem of a pivotal era in American monetary and cultural history. A coin born in the aftermath of economic reform, shaped by political necessity, and preserved as a symbol of national endurance and modernization. Minted in 1967, this quarter belongs to the first full series of coins struck entirely in the new copper, nickel-clad composition, a revolutionary change introduced just 2 years earlier by the Coinage Act of 1965 during the administration of President Lyndon B. Johnson. The 1967 quarter thus represents the stabilization phase of the Great Transition from traditional 90% silver coinage to non-precious metal coinage, a move that reshaped American money forever. The act had eliminated silver from dimes and quarters and reduced the silver content of half dollars, responding to rising silver prices and a crippling coin shortage that gripped the U.S. economy in the early 1960s. By 1967 Americans had adjusted to the new, clad, coins, whose distinctive ring, color, and durability became the new sound and feel of everyday commerce. The obverse, front, of the 1967 quarter features the enduring portrait of George Washington, first used in 1932 to honor the bicentennial of his birth, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. The image was based on the celebrated bust of Washington created by Jean-Antoine Houdon in 1785, which was regarded as the most accurate likeness of the nation's first president. Washington's left-facing profile, dignified and composed, evokes the virtues of leadership, honesty, and service. Above his head appears the word liberty, while to the left is inscribed, "In God We Trust," the national motto reflecting the nation's moral heritage. Beneath the portrait lies the date, 1967, boldly marking a year of transformation. Notably, this quarter, like all U.S. coins minted from 1965 through 1967, bears no mint mark, a decision mandated by the Coinage Act of 1965 to discourage hoarding and speculation. The United States Mint had temporarily removed mint marks from all coinage to prevent collectors from stockpiling coins by mint location during the coin shortage crisis. Thus, even though the 1967 quarters were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, none display any distinguishing letter, giving the entire issue a sense of unity and uniform identity during this turbulent economic transition. The reverse, back, of the coin retains Flanagan's majestic heraldic eagle design, an enduring symbol of American power and peace. The eagle, with wings spread wide, stands perched upon a bundle of arrows, an emblem of defense and strength, while an olive branch rests below, signifying the nation's hope for peace. Surrounding the eagle are the inscriptions, United States of America, and the Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, a tribute to the unity of the states and the diverse people that make up the republic. The denomination, $quarter, is boldly struck along the lower rim. This pairing of eagle and motto had, by 1967, become more than mere design. It had become a numismatic manifestation of American identity, expressing strength balanced by virtue, and tradition preserved amid change. Technically, the 1967 $quarter followed the specifications established in 1965, a weight of 5.67 grams, a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and a reeded edge. Its metallic structure, outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, gave it both the silver-colored appearance that Americans expected and the toughness required for long-term circulation. This innovative sandwich composition made the coin far more durable and cost-efficient than its silver predecessors. The U.S. Mint's metallurgists had perfected the bonding process by 1967, ensuring that the new clad coins could withstand heavy mechanical use without separation or corrosion. The result was a uniform, modern coin, bright, functional, and economical, ideally suited to the needs of an industrialized and expanding nation. The minting history of the 1967 quarter is equally significant. The United States Mint was under extraordinary pressure during this period to meet the coin demand created by post-war population growth and booming consumer activity. Automated vending machines, parking meters, and coin-operated devices required massive numbers of quarters, forcing the Mint to maintain round-the-clock production schedules. In response, the Mint also established special mint sets, SMS, in 1965, 1966, and 1967 to replace the traditional proof sets, which had been temporarily discontinued to devote all resources to circulating coin production. These SMS coins, including the 1967 quarter, were struck with higher quality dies and slightly more polished surfaces, producing a semi-proof-like finish admired by collectors. Though not true proofs, these coins display a satin or mirror-like luster, setting them apart from ordinary circulation strikes. The 1967 Special Mint set is now a sought-after collectible because it encapsulates the artistry and experimentation of the Mint during this transitional period. From a numismatic perspective, the 1967 quarter holds special importance as the final year of the no mint mark era, which ended in 1968 when mint marks were reinstated. Thus serves as a bridge between the crisis years of the mid-1960s and the return to normal minting practices. While over 1.5 billion quarters were struck in 1967, making it a common circulation issue, high-grade uncirculated examples, especially those with sharp detail and strong luster, are increasingly prized among collectors. Rare die varieties and striking errors, such as double die obverse clipped planchets or off-center strikes, occasionally appear and are valued for their uniqueness. However, the true worth of the 1967 quarter lies less in rarity and more in its role as a marker of transformation. The point at which the U.S. Mint perfected the clad coinage system that endures to this day. The economic symbolism of the 1967 quarter is profound. It reflects a decisive shift in American monetary philosophy, away from precious metal coinage toward a modern fiduciary system based on public trust rather than intrinsic metal value. This was a radical idea for its time, echoing the broader economic and social transformations of the 1960s, an age of innovation, civil rights activism, and expanding federal programs. The quarter's copper-nickel alloy represented progress and practicality, its very metal composition a metaphor for America's resilience and adaptability in a changing world. Top 3. The United States of America 1968 D quarter dollar is a remarkable and historically rich coin that marks a major turning point in American numismatic history, a year when the United States Mint reinstated mint marks after a 3-year absence, restored stability to coin production, and symbolically closed the chapter of the mid-1960s coinage crisis. Minted at the Denver Mint, the D mint mark on this 1968 quarter represents far more than a simple letter. It stands as a sign of the nation's renewed confidence, modernized minting techniques, and the successful completion of one of the most significant transformations in U.S. monetary history, the full adoption of clad coinage. The origins of the 1968 D quarter trace back to the Monumental Coinage Act of 1965, which permanently changed the materials and minting policies of American coins. Due to the rising cost of silver and a severe shortage of circulating coins, Congress removed silver from the dime and quarter, replacing it with a copper nickel-clad composition that began in 1965. Between 1965 and 1967, to prevent coin hoarding and speculation by collectors seeking rare mint marks, the U.S. Mint temporarily suspended all mint marks from its coins. As a result, every quarter from those 3 years bore no mark indicating where it had been struck. However, by 1968, the coin shortage had finally eased, production levels had stabilized, and the Mint confidently resumed the use of mint marks, placing them once again on the obverse front of the coin just to the right of George Washington's ribbon tie and below the motto, "In God We Trust." This restoration of the mint mark was a significant milestone that reconnected American coinage to its long-standing traditions of craftsmanship, transparency, and pride in minting origins. The obverse design of the 1968 D quarter features the timeless bust of George Washington, sculpted by John Flanagan in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of Washington's birth. Washington's left-facing profile, modeled from the famous 1785 marble bust by French sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon, captures the dignity, calm authority, and moral integrity of the nation's first president. Above his portrait arcs the word liberty, embodying the core value of the United States, while the national motto "In God We Trust" appears prominently to the left, reflecting the spiritual foundation upon which the nation was built. Below the portrait is the date 1968, clearly marking the year of minting. On the right of Washington's neck appears the small but important D. Mint mark, identifying the coin as a product of the Denver Mint in Colorado, the first appearance of that mark since 1964, and a symbol of the mint's return to normal operations after the turbulent years of reform. The reverse back of the coin retains the classic heraldic eagle design that had adorned U.S. quarters since 1932, also by John Flanagan. The eagle stands proudly on a bundle of arrows, a representation of military preparedness and national defense, while below it lies an olive branch, symbolizing peace. Surrounding the eagle are the inscriptions United States of America and the Latin motto E pluribus unum, out of many, one, emphasizing unity amid diversity. The denomination quarter dollar appears boldly along the lower rim. The strength of this design lies in its simplicity. It conveys power, order, and honor without embellishment, perfectly suiting the ideals of an enduring republic. The reverse design, unchanged since the early 1930s, reflected both continuity and stability, qualities deeply valued during the rapid cultural and economic changes of the late 1960s. Technically, the 1968 D quarter continued the modern clad coinage standard introduced in 1965. The coin specifications were precisely defined. A composition of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving the coin a silvery appearance but a distinct reddish hue along the edge. The weight was set at 5.67 grams, with a diameter of 24.3 millimeters and a finely reeded edge knot. Merely decorative but practical, historically used to prevent shaving or clipping of coin edges when coins contained silver or gold. The copper-nickel alloy offered significant advantages. It was cheaper to produce, far more resistant to wear, and immune to fluctuations in silver prices. By 1968, the U.S. Mint had perfected this clad bonding technology, producing coins that were consistent in weight, hardness, and color, ensuring long-term durability for modern commerce. At the Denver Mint, where the 1968 D quarter was struck, production that year reached remarkable levels, with approximately 101,534,000 quarters minted for general circulation. The Denver Mint was one of the most efficient in the world, equipped with advanced Schuler presses and modernized rolling mills that enabled mass production of high-quality clad coins. Each blank planchet underwent rigorous inspection and annealing before being fed into the coin presses, where enormous pressure imprinted Flanagan classic design in crisp relief. Though these were intended for everyday use, many 1968 D quarters were struck with exceptional sharpness and luster, and today high-grade uncirculated examples are prized by collectors, especially those graded MS 65 or higher by the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) or the Numismatic Guarantee Company (NGC). In addition to regular circulation strikes, the San Francisco Mint in 1968 resumed the production of proof coins for collectors, the first proof coins since 1964, marking another return to normalcy after the disruptions of the coin shortage. These proof sets, featuring deeply mirrored fields and frosted devices, included the 1968 S quarter struck with meticulous care. The 1968 D quarters, however, were business strikes intended for everyday transactions, representing the Mint's commitment to providing a stable supply of durable, attractive coins for the American public. From a historical standpoint, the 1968 D quarter represents a bridge between the old and the new. It was the first Denver-minted quarter of the modern clad era to bear its mint mark, symbolizing the United States Mint's confidence in its technological reforms and operational stability. It also re-established the tradition of mint mark pride, a tiny but meaningful detail that collectors had missed since 1964. This small D thus embodies a much larger story, the journey of American coinage from precious metal heritage to practical modernity. Culturally, the 1968 D quarter circulated through an America in transition. The year 1968 was one of the most turbulent in the nation's history, marked by the Vietnam War, the assassinations of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy, widespread civil rights movements, and deep social transformation. Amid this upheaval, the quarter, a coin most Americans handled daily, became a quiet witness to history. Tea changed hands in grocery stores, gas stations, and coffee shops across a divided yet determined nation. Its familiar image of Washington offered reassurance and continuity, a daily reminder of unity and stability during uncertain times. Economically, the quarter held a central place in everyday life. Tea-powered vending machines. Top 4. The United States of America 1969 quarter dollar stands as an important and transitional issue in the long and dignified lineage of American coinage, representing both the maturity of the modern clad coinage era and the continuing endurance of traditional American design and ideals, minted at a time when the United States was undergoing vast economic, political, and social transformation. The 1969 quarter holds a unique position as a coin that reflects the confidence and resilience of a nation redefining itself at the close of a turbulent decade. T symbolizes the perfection of the copper-nickel clad system introduced in 1965, the steady normalization of mint operations after years of reform, and the persistent pride of the U.S. Mint in producing coinage that upholds both functional and artistic excellence. The 1969 quarter dollar was struck at three major U.S. Mint facilities: Philadelphia, No Mint Mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S, each representing a crucial part of the American minting network. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins for everyday circulation without any mint mark, continuing its long tradition as the nation's first mint. The Denver Mint, identified by its small D mint mark to the right of Washington's ribbon tie, contributed the largest share of quarters in 1969, supplying the vast western and central markets of the country. The San Francisco Mint produced limited quantities of proof coins exclusively for collectors, marked with the elegant S. These proof coins, deeply mirrored and sharply struck, were sold in special U.S. proof sets, showcasing the mint's artistry and technical precision. Together, these three minting facilities ensured that the 1969 quarter reached every corner of the nation, from bustling cities to small rural towns, as both a medium of exchange and a quiet carrier of history. The obverse front of the coin bears the enduring portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. This noble left-facing bust was inspired by the classical sculpture of Washington created by Jean-Antoine Houdon in 1785, widely regarded as the most accurate likeness of the first president. Washington's calm and determined expression evokes leadership, moral strength, and unity, virtues that defined both his character and the ideals of the American Republic. Above the portrait appears the word liberty, the foundation of American democracy, while the national motto, "In God We Trust," stands proudly to the left, reaffirming the spiritual and ethical principles guiding the nation. Beneath the bust lies the date 1969, boldly centered at the base of the obverse, reminding the holder of the time in which it was struck, a year marked by historic events such as the first manned moon landing preparations, the Vietnam War's height, and great social change across America. The reverse, back, of the 1969 quarter features the magnificent heraldic eagle design, also the work of John Flanagan, which has graced the coin since its inception in 1932. The eagle, wings spread wide and body erect, perches upon a bundle of arrows, a traditional symbol of national defense strength and readiness to protect liberty. Beneath the arrows rests an olive branch representing peace and the nation's desire for harmony both at home and abroad. Above the eagle's head, inscribed in an arch, are the words, "United States of America," while directly below them lies the motto, "E pluribus unum," meaning, "out of many, one," symbolizing unity among the states and people. Along the lower rim, the denomination, quarter dollar, completes the design. The composition of the eagle, arrows, and olive branch not only balances power with peace but also serves as a metaphor for the American spirit, resilient yet hopeful, strong yet just. In terms of technical specifications, the 1969 quarter follows the same structure as all U.S. quarters minted since the Coinage Act of 1965. It has a composition of outer layers made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core, giving the coin both strength and its distinctive silvery color. The diameter measures 24.3 millimeters, its weight is 5.67 grams, and it features a finely reeded edge. This clad design, a sandwich of copper and nickel, replaced the 90% silver coins of earlier decades, offering greater durability, resistance to corrosion, and lower production costs. The transition to clad coinage, which was fully realized by 1969, represented a triumph of technological innovation and economic pragmatism. By this time, both the public and the mint had fully accepted the new metallic standard, ending the silver hoarding and shortages that had plagued the nation in the early 1960s. The minting process of 1969 quarters exemplified the United States Mint's modernization efforts. The Denver and Philadelphia mints used automated high-speed presses capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute with remarkable precision. Each planchet, coin blank, was meticulously cut, polished, and weighed before striking, ensuring uniformity and quality control. The proof coins from the San Francisco Mint underwent even more delicate treatment. Polished dies and planchets were used to achieve mirror-like fields and frosted designs, producing coins of stunning visual contrast. These proof quarters, with their brilliant finish and sharp relief, became prized items among collectors and represented the Mint's highest standard of craftsmanship. Historically, the 1969 quarter dollar holds importance as a symbol of economic stability. Why this year, the U.S. Mint had fully overcome the coin shortage crisis that began in 1964 and had re-established a consistent, efficient system of coinage. The reintroduction of mint marks in 1968 continued successfully in 1969, giving collectors and the general public renewed confidence in the nation's monetary system. The quarter itself became a mainstay of American commerce, serving in vending machines, parking meters, telephones, and countless everyday transactions. It was the practical coin of the people, small enough for convenience, yet valuable enough to be indispensable. Culturally, the 1969 quarter is deeply intertwined with the era in which it circulated. It changed hands during one of the most eventful years in modern American history. The United States was on the brink of landing a man on the moon, a scientific triumph that reflected national ambition and ingenuity. The Vietnam War and civil rights movements continued to shape public consciousness, while popular culture exploded with music, television, and art that redefined the American identity. The quarter, with its familiar image of Washington and its enduring eagle, moved through these moments silently but significantly, a constant presence in the pockets of soldiers, students, and citizens alike. Became part of the texture of daily life during a decade defined by struggle, discovery, and transformation. From a numismatic standpoint, the 1969 quarter is not a rare coin, as millions were struck, particularly at the Denver Mint. However, its historical and symbolic value is substantial. Uncirculated and proof examples are highly sought after by collectors who appreciate the artistry of Flanagan design and the historical importance of the late 1960s clad issues. Coins in mint state 65 or higher, with bright luster and minimal marks, can command premiums, while proof versions with deep cameo contrast are especially desirable. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.